Hello, this is a path. It goes through the trees, up the hill to the top. I want to make another path, this time going more that way, along the hill. What's going to make it challenging is that we're standing on what's probably at least a 45-degree slope. Now this path I cut out with a mattock and spade over a dozen years ago, but I'm too old and or lazy to do that again. So I'm going to use a tractor. I've got a compact tractor and I've got a box grader to go on the back and a hydraulic link box. So I'll show you those two things and then we'll get stuck in. This is the little tractor and this is the box grader, which I think will be the main tool for the job. I've only had this thing a few months and it's been incredibly useful already. So what we've got here is a box made of thick section steel. Down at the bottom here is a blade. So it's a curved blade like you'd get on the front of a bulldozer. Same sort of thing for cutting through soil. On the back here is another one so that I can use this like a bulldozer blade pushing this way. And then here we've got 4 tines. So these are ripper tines, and you can see by the holes here I can set them at different heights so that I can put those and it will plough into the ground, and then this box will collect up the loose material. One super useful function of this tractor is that it's got all these hydraulic takeoffs on the back. So what I've got plugged in here into these end2 here is this hydraulic top link. So from the tractor seat, just by pulling on a lever, I can tilt this whole grader forward or backwards. If I've got the tines poking out, say that much, I can tilt it forwards and the tines will engage, or I can tilt the whole thing back and I can just smooth the surface, or I can bulldoze going that way. I can also adjust this part of the linkage here and actually tilt it that way or that way, which is really useful when I'm servicing the track and trying to put a camber on it like a proper road would have. Some tractors have this thing here hydraulic as well. I don't, but it's not too much of a hassle to change that one manually. Having the hydraulic top link is a real benefit though. The other implement I expect to use later on is the hydraulic link box. Now it's very much like the front bucket of a front loader, and just like a front loader bucket, it'll enable me to push into material and scoop it up and transport it somewhere else. Obviously the limitation with it is it can't lift as high as a front loader can. I decided not to get front loader for this tractor just because it makes it more clumsy in the sort of restricted environment I'm working here. Yeah, the link box works for me. Anyway, let's do some work. So quick disclaimer before I get into it, I've not done this before. Obviously I've done it by hand, I've never done it with a tractor. So this is not a how-to video. Not necessarily, unless it works. As you might have noticed, I angled the grader by lifting this arm up, effectively dropping this corner down, and then what I've been doing is using the rear blade, so this is that rear blade I was on about, using the rear blade like a bulldozer, pushing into the hill, and then using the scraper blade, the rest of the device, to pull it that way. What I'm going to try now is turning the tractor around, and instead of dropping that corner, I shall drop this corner down, and I shall try cutting into the hill. It might work better. It'll also mean that I can drop a couple of the ripper teeth down. Yeah, let's try that. So of course the trouble with going forward onto the unmade part is that I'm pitching the tractor right over and it's bound to go all over the place. It's reasonably unlikely to actually fall over. I've generally found with machinery it's me that bottles out before it starts to lift the wheel. But having said that, you can always be caught unawares, like I was here with the stack pipe and this branch. So I was to and fro there for ages trying to get the front of the tractor to come round this, but yes, it's just not really happening, so I'm going to have to cut that off. Well, it's a slow start, but progress is being made. New path, and then the old path. Also, it looks a bit of a mess because I've only just made it. One of the really important things when cutting into the side of the hill is that, obviously, where I've cut in, it's relatively safe to drive on, but I'm also building up, and the built-up bit is not necessarily consolidated. So. And I find this particularly a problem with a mini digger where you don't have so much ground pressure, which is usually a good thing. But because you're not compacting it so much, there's a chance that the stuff that you've just made up on the downslope side will give way, and over you go. This is the tree where I got the tractor stuck briefly, and what I'm aiming to do is to dip down and curve around, and then there's another thorn tree over there, I'm aiming to go on the uphill side of that before dipping down again. We'll see where it takes us. I'm getting more comfortable with the technique now. I think that's the way to go. It just has to be reversing into it as a bulldozer and then pulling forwards. Yeah, it just doesn't work. Well, as you saw, it didn't work the other way around. So it was kind of fun. This is the first time I've ever stood on this piece of my property. Well, I have to say, so far, that's exactly what I had in mind, which is great. And it's working well with that bulldozing it back and then grading it forward and back and grading it forward and so on. There was one slightly hairy moment when I felt the wheel on this side start to dip, but it was recoverable. Yes, not too exciting, thankfully. Let's go up and have a look at the end. So like I say, this is all great. This is exactly what I had in mind, except for the fact that I was aiming to go uphill of this tree, but I couldn't quite make the turn. It was going to be a bit tight. Just because it's so steep here, I'll end up cutting in massively. But for now, I'm happy with that as progress. I'm going to widen the existing path. This path didn't look too steep until I started all this, and now it looks quite... Well, anyway, let's see what we can do. Move the chainsaws first, that'd be a good idea. I'll carry on with this setup. You should be able to make out there that this corner is lower than that corner, and that'll be right for what I'm going to do here, just the same as what I've just been doing on that path. Well, it was going okay, but now I'm well and truly stuck. What I was finding here is actually a lot more difficult to do than I was expecting, and I think the reason is that I'm trying to bulldoze uphill. And of course that's where the lack of traction, and it is only just over a ton, this thing. Yes, I think trying to push it up like that it's tending to slide sideways a bit. But I'm starting to get the hang of it, so yeah, until I manage that. came back later and, as you can see, finally made it to the top. I did get stuck twice more, but nothing dramatic. Once I'd actually got to the top of the hill, it was much easier then because I could just go up and down and gently sort of nibble away at the bank there until I got it the way I wanted it. So yes, I think the main thing I discovered from doing that was bulldozing uphill with a little tractor is quite difficult. Kind of obvious really. Let's look at the other path. Now this path was actually much easier, even though I was going on to ground that had never been even walked on before. I'm really happy where it came out actually. Obviously I had to stop because I've got some bits of tree in the way. I'm going to have to get the saw out and take out at least this one, probably this one. And then I'll go in and sort of do a curve and then back round that way, something like that. Now, I've got no qualms about chopping down trees and making room for these paths, because once they're in, it's really going to open up the woodland and let a lot of light in, and I think I'll find along the sides of the paths loads of things that have been dormant for years and years will suddenly spring to life. So it will make quite a dramatic improvement, I think, to the amount of stuff going on in the woods. Well, for a couple of hours work, bearing in mind that the tractor did the hard work, I'm really happy with that result, and quite a steep learning curve, but I think I'm getting the hang of it now. So I'm going to chip away at this. It's not going to be my main project, I've got so many other things to do, but bit by bit I shall start putting paths here and there and everywhere, and I think it'll all look a lot better. I'll certainly be able to access a lot of my land I've never even walked on before, so that's quite exciting. Anyway, cheers for now.